First and foremost, I would like to thank you everyone for being here. Good day, good afternoon. My name is Muhammad Shahir. I'm the SOC head for Vigilant Asia. So I've a little bit on my background. I've been working in the IT industry for around 10 years plus. I work in multiple fields. I started off as a programmer. I've done technical support. I work in IT infrastructure, network application, and cybersecurity. So a little bit of background on where I'm currently working. So I'm currently working in Vigilant Asia. So Vigilant Asia started off as a company that deals with most of the FSIs in the Malaysian industry. We are actually a Microsoft managed partner, and we have several awards for cybersecurity excellence. We are also CREST certified for SOC, and we have a lot of engagement with Gartner in regardings in building our cybersecurity capability. Okay, so today I'm actually talking about the future of Security Operations Center. So just to briefly recap or to let everyone know what is the Security Operations Center. So basically Security Operations Center is the epicenter of an organization or the heart of organization where it monitors the environment of the organization to look into security perspective, basically the defenders of the organization. It's always been called the defender of an organization. And the first line of defense of an organization, the eyes and ears of an organization, as you would say, in looking out for the safety of the organization. So the current state of SOC. So this is the first topic that we're going to go into. Okay, so a bit of introduction on Security Operations Center. So Security Operations Center is usually hold on. Sorry. Okay. So Security Operations Center is always there's several components in building a security operations center. First and foremost, you have the people who are actually doing the monitoring, your blue teams, your defenders. These are the people who are actually doing the core work in the monitoring. They look into the logs that is coming in. They notify you if they found any anomalies. They raise alerts to you, and they notify you on what to fix. So these are your eyes. Yes. And some matured SOC might have threat intelligence complementing their monitoring system, the ones doing the detection and response, and also attached to a traditional SOC would be incident response team. So incident response team would be the team that actually fights the fire in the organization. You are hit by ransomware, you hit by malware, you're hit by phishing campaign, so you call upon your incident responders to help fight the fire, and your MDR team become a support component. So this is actually the current state of SOC, but is it the best thing that we have now? What do we do once we have established a SOC? So SOC wasn't really a thing that was talked about until the time where pandemic hits. That is where when everybody is stuck at home and people start to re-innovate their organization, they start to move into digitalization, and that is when they realize they have not put in too much thought on their security. In 2020 up to 2022 to the end of pandemic, there has been quite a rise in cybersecurity incidents. Why? Because more and more organizations are moving toward digitalization. However, the security portion of it wasn't taken into account. Okay, the first big checklist in the CISO things to do that they need to put in is manage detection and response. And when it comes to mind for manage detection and response, they say we need something that we can monitor all our logs, our networks. So they implement SIEM. SIEM is the system information event management. Congregate all the logs, give to your IT operators, done. Then when the regulators come, do you have something to monitor your environment? Yes, I do. I have people here. I put my network guys, my technical support guys sitting in front of the monitor. They are looking into the logs, but do they understand or not what they're looking? They're just saying, these logs are boss. everything okay ah. Yesterday you can enter email, right? Today also can enter email, no problem. So this is the current state of stock, right? You go everywhere, so people are having this problem. They don't have the talent to look into your monitoring and detection. They put anybody that they can pull off from the team, look into the logs, and now you tell me I'm safe or not. Of course they're going to tell you, boss, you safe, boss. They don't say, boss, you're not safe. I'm not safe, you're fired, you don't know how to do work. Right? Correct. So this is where we want to move our mindset, our thinking on the current state of SOC, where we want to go. Okay, so do you know what an image this is? It's a fort, right? Okay, so I always like to tell SOC in layman terms, because if I tell you all the jargons, SIEM, IPS, IDS, firewall and such, you might be thinking, all these technical things is very difficult to implement. But if I tell you your organization is actually like a fort, it's easier to visualize, isn't it? Because if I tell you all these technical jargons, you can say, how do I put my IPS? How do I put my firewall? Where do I build my people skills and such? So I always tell my guys, SOC is like a fort. The fort is your organization, and the walls you're building it is your security appliances. So you have, okay, you see here, you have physical walls. So that could be your firewall. You have guards on the tower, IPS, IDS. Yeah? They watch your firewall, they watch your internal system. So you put moat around it there, you have your policies and such. So, but is it enough? Okay, you have a fort, you have your gate, you have your defenders on your fort, but your enemies are coming in tanks. Your enemies are coming in aeroplanes. Can you stop it or not? No, because you have a very traditional fort. And you thought this is sufficient to protect me, protect my king, my boss in there. Everything fine. No. Your enemy come with paratroopers and all, come inside, you also don't know what to do because you're only watching the gate. Right? Your boss or inside, pening kepala already, what happened? You outside, everything okay, boss? All false positive, no problem. Right? Okay? So, where do you want to move from this? Okay, so basically currently, state of SOC in general. Okay? So, it's the eyes and ears, as I mentioned, when you do a monitoring, detection and response to threats to your organization. Traditionally known as first line of defense to your organization. So SOC may be in-house, you can build your own internal capability, or you can actually outsource the risk and put the blame on the other people. So if you don't want to have big headache, hire people and blame them. But ensure you hire the correct people. Because if you hire somebody who never done SOC before, you just hire, you will have the same problem as your internal team. Everything okay, boss, no problem. Alright, so SOC typically consists of L1 security analyst, L2 security analyst, L3 your subject matter expert. Some SOC might have specific positions inside their SOC. They have malware analyst and incident responder based on how mature your security operations center is. So typically how a SOC functions, this is how your guys in SOC do their work. They have a 24/7 monitoring. They monitor all your security appliance, all the logs and such. When the alerts trigger, your L1 analysts perform the investigation. Because they are L1, so naturally your mindset to your L1 analyst is they can only tell you whether this needs more information or this needs more investigation or not. Basically a help desk type of scope of work where, of course, L1 not wanting to take the blame will always escalate everything to L2, right? It's either they escalate everything to L2 or they will say, have you restart your computer? Restart, okay. Okay, no problem. Then, not solved yet. My L2 will come and help you. And your L2 will be so swamped with all the escalation, he will say, I need help from my L3. So your L3 is your subject matter expert, right? These are supposed to be your pro in looking into your network, but because everybody don't want to take the blame, so in the end, your L3 will face all the issue. your L3 will be saying, I don't want to work like this anymore. Please, boss, help me, right? So, escalation to L3. L3 do deep dive investigation. Issue not solved. What we need to do? I need to escalate to L4. L4 is your boss. So, do you want to escalate to L4? No. So, you have to keep going on and do the investigation until you have to say to your boss, we need to hire somebody to find out what the issue is. Yeah? And then, your boss will say, no use, I have you. I hire somebody else to blame. Right? Okay, so this is the typically SOC function and its element. You see how many escalation it is. Do you know what is the problem with so many escalation? One is the response time. Yeah? Your L1 is talking to your L2 say, not my problem, you do first. And then your L2 send to L3, L3 say, I'm the subject matter expert, this one you need to do. You do. Okay? You see the communication and the response time is always going to be a breakdown. In the end, you cannot fix anything. Alright? So this is one of the current typical SOC functions where traditionally you go everywhere, people will build based on this framework, on this process, what they need to do. Because they say many people look into it, easier to solve, which I totally disagree. So this is some of the SOC, standard SOC elements. If you want to have a SOC, you need to have these components. So you have your security analyst. These are the ones who doing the log analysis, the correlations, the investigations, and you have your subject matter experts. So these are the guys who are actually going to look into deeper investigations, what needs to be fixed, your vulnerabilities and such. And you have your incident responders. So incident responder is basically your special forces. You only call them when you need to firefight all the incidents. And some company, probably with bigger budget, more mature, they have their own cyber threat intelligence. So how did they use this cyber threat intelligence? So they hire people with some knowledge of cyber threat intelligence, okay? And they ask these guys, can you tell me when I am going to get attacked? So these are the guys in threat intelligence saying, I don't know, probably later, right? So because you hire threat intelligence and you expect them to tell you when are you going to get attacked, right? And most organizations use threat intelligence like a postal office. The instruction given to threat analyst, threat intelligence analyst, I want you to look into the World Wide Web, find me the latest threat, and tell me about it. And this guy works as postal office. They go take all this news, open source intelligence research, they copy paste, put into a written format and give to the boss. The boss very happy. Wow, you very good one. All this one I don't know. But does it help your SOC? No, because it does not include some actionable item, which threat intelligence is supposed to be. But some of the, because not all people are very technical savvy, right? Okay, so they when they have this type of news telling there's vulnerability, log4j, ransomware coming in, such, so the fear is there. But when there is no action to take upon all this threat intelligence, it does not help your SOC to improve anything, right? So this is where we want to actually grow our SOC. So challenges, of course, when we talk about scope works and such, challenges is something that we need to look on, because we need to know our weakness, we need to know how to fix it. And some of the SOC challenges is we are always overwhelmed by too many security alerts. Okay, there is always a saying in cybersecurity, I need to onboard all the logs I have in my organization. Endpoint, IPS, IDS, network, API. Please put it all on board on my SIM and let my analyst deal with it, right? But do you need to have all the logs? Do you need to have all the things, you see? Because when you onboard everything, all the logs, your security analyst will be looking at thousands and thousands of logs every day. They will start to feel burnt out. And then, when the critical time comes, that they need to identify that one single log that is actually messing around with your organization, they missed out because they are always overwhelmed, right? And then they become tired. Difficulty in tracing a cyber attack. Yes, when you are overwhelmed with too many alerts, too many logs, of course, you are unable to identify the real attacks that is happening in your organization. We call it FOMO. Anybody knows what FOMO is? This is very hipster term that people like to use. I also just learned it, FOMO. Fear of missing out, fear of missing out. They say if I don't onboard this type of logs, I fear I might miss out if there is anything happening. All right, that will, of course, contribute to the difficulty in tracing a cyber attack. Staffing and knowledge shortage. Yeah, this is also a critical issue. It's not just in Asia, it's worldwide. Everybody has a difficulty in staffing and knowledge shortage. But if you know how to tackle the internal build, you need how to build your internal capability, we can actually solve this problem quite easily. Response time toward attack, incident, yeah, like I mentioned, because too many escalation, everybody doesn't want to take responsibility, reduces your response time to an incident or attack, and also impact how when you can recover after an attack. And also the acceleration of technology advancement. Okay, so today you have this one new technology A, monitor everything. So you send your guys for training. Next week come out technology B, can monitor 2 things at once. So you send another guy to go there. Then another month come technology C, saying that there's things that we can monitor through the network visibility. You go send your guy again. So every day, every week, every month, you need to update your guys. But how do we actually help in controlling the acceleration of technology advancement, and how we can actually make sure our people can cope with the advancement of technology? So those are the challenges. Time-consuming investigation process also impact from too many escalations, too many people, L1, L2, L3, and communication breakdown. Okay, so first and foremost, if we want to move to future SOC, the thing that we need to do is SOC maturity. We need to understand where we are, what is our capability, and what is the objective, where we want to move forward. Because if we don't understand these things, we will always be content with what we have. And we say this process we have is already good enough, we can handle it until incident happen. Then you say, not good enough lah boss, last time I told you already, but nobody want to take the blame. So how do we evolve ourselves? So we need to redefine SOC using 3 pillars. From the technology pillar, from the process pillar, and from the people. So we focus on these 3 pillars to ensure that we can actually mature our SOC environment out of the traditional manual way of doing things in monitoring, detection, and response. So do you know what is this image? Hold on. Anybody know? This is actually a picture of a military installation. Okay, so excuse me. So from the fort that we have, now we have to upgrade our SOC to a military installation. We have snipers, we have tanks, we have anti-tank, we have anti-air. You give me whatever, I'll attack you back. Right? Military installation is not something that you can play around. Even terrorists also think that 100, 200 times before they attack a military installation, isn't it? Compared to a fort, if I was, a terrorist, I say we better attack a fort rather than a military installation. Easier to get into the fort. So are you a fort? Are you a military installation? Alright? So military installation, you see, you have QRF here, Quick Response Force. We have your patrol over there. You have your primary gate. You have your security controls, all of the security things there. So this is where we want to bring our SOC. You want to upgrade it to ensure that we have the best visibility, best coverage, best processes without actually tie down or burn out your team. So this is actually a maturity matrix. Okay. So from here, you can actually gauge yourself based on a couple of key parameters. So you have your monitoring model, your incident response cycle, team competence, response time, response capability, detection abilities, detection techniques, infrastructures, time coverage, and manpower. So you see, traditionally, it's SOC 1.0, where your analyst will always be dependent on your security appliance. Nothing trigger the alerts, all okay. Yeah? But currently, the current threats in our cyber landscape, they have the capability to actually evade all the security appliance, you know. They can actually move around in your organizations without actually triggering your security tools. You know? So how do they do this? Because they understand mostly SOC components, they are too reliant on your security products, and these security products, all this product information is all on the World Wide Web. You can understand what is the threshold of brute force attack, correct? So if you know out of the box, this product is actually saying if there's 100 attempts on this login within 1 minute, trigger an alert. So all you need to do is break down your brute force attack, 50 tries within a minute, right? And it won't trigger your alarm, right? So traditional SOC 1.0, trigger based. Incident response cycle based on detection, because it's trigger based. When there's a detection, then only you execute your incident response. Team competency on the monitoring skills. I can go on and on for this, but just I'll explain just one portion of the traditional one lah. And you can actually compare it to the 2.0, 3.0, and 4 on how they grow. Okay, so let's just take one key parameter of the monitoring model, right? Okay, so for traditional SOC, it's trigger based. And when you go to 2.0, how do you grow into correlation based? So correlation based is actually when you are able to correlate an alarm between multiple security appliances. So you have your IPS, IDS, you have your firewall, you have your EDR. Are you able to correlate and create a story for a singular traffic? Meaning if you see one endpoint connecting to CNC, so that is coming from your EDR, but can you trace it back to your NIPS or your firewall or your IPS, IDS? Yeah. So when you learn on correlation base, you can actually learn how the attack works and how we can actually stop it from coming into your environment. And when you learn correlation base, it actually helps you identify as well the gaps and vulnerabilities you have in your environment. So correlation base seems too good to be true already. You can already correlate what is happening. So how do we grow from it? So we have SOC 3.0, scenario driven. So scenario driven is when you start to do simulation, alright? So you have playbooks, okay? You do, okay, what if a ransomware attacks the organization? Are our analysts able to detect? Our processes, our security appliance able to detect? So you start to do scenario-driven types of monitoring, alright? So you can create your own use case, your custom use case. You don't have to use your out-of-the-box use case from your product. So when you have the scenario-driven, meaning your analysts are more mature enough to look into the alerts and events that is happening without being too reliant on your security appliance. And when you grow to SOC 0.0, you have your hunting model. So what is a hunting model? So basically now, some of the buzzword in cybersecurity is threat hunting. Everybody is saying threat hunting here and there, left and right threat hunting, but what is threat hunting basically? Yeah. So threat hunting is basically going into your environment, creating hypotheses based on current cyber threat landscape, and proving or disapproving whether your organization is actually susceptible to attack or not. Yeah. It's not always about proving that there is always danger in your environment, but it's actually to give a peace of mind to your management, saying that we have conducted our threat hunting missions in your environment based on the tactics, techniques, and procedures of a threat actor, and we find that our organization is not susceptible to an attack. And by doing threat hunting mission as well, you can actually identify some of the gaps, because when you do threat hunting missions, you go through the Mitra, ATT, and CK. Everybody knows Mitra, right? And also, you go through the cyber kill chain. So when you go through cyber kill chain, you're not only focusing on a single tactics. or techniques. You go from end to end, from the reconnaissance up to the action on intent. And you can actually, even though you disapprove your hypothesis, but you can actually identify which portion of the cyber key chain you are vulnerable to, which are the gaps. So that is a hunting model. All right, so let's go deeper into the maturity level. All right, okay, so this is maturity level 1, right? So I break it down into a simplified version of it. So when you want to measure your SOC, let's see your team competency. Is it reliant on monitoring tools? Yes, you are SOC 1.0. Response capability, alert-based response. No alert, no problem. I can continue my day end to end. So alert-based response is your responsibility. You are SOC 1.0. Detection ability, common threat, out of the box, build based from your products, your security appliance, no customized use cases and such. You are always working with indicators of compromise. So you have 1,500 indicator of compromise, you add it into your SIM and you monitor by that. So you are SOC 1.0. Detection technique, alert detection IOC based, like I said. You add IOC in your firewall, you wait for something to hit in the IOC list, you are SOC 1.0. Time coverage, okay, time coverage is actually how you use your people to monitor. So your time coverage is only based on shift. So if your guys are working 9 to 6, you are only safe 9 to 6. After that, please take care of yourself, right? So monitoring model, trigger based, like I said, nothing trigger, no problem. So you want to grow your SOC to maturity level 2. Okay. If you're not maturity level 2, you want to grow it here, what do you need to do? First and foremost, you need to ensure your team competency are now more on analytics and improvement based on monitoring tools. So you have a SIEM, you have IPS, IDS. Make sure your guys know how to correlate all the events that you see there. And also make sure they are not reliant on those monitoring tools. Meaning, they are able to do correlation investigation. Yeah? They know what network log is, what is IPS log is, IIS logs. They know what TCP and such, and they can differentiate what is the endpoint logs and what is the network logs, basically, right? Response capability, prioritization of alerts triggered. Okay, of course, when alerts triggered, it's not going to be once a day. You have one alert today, tomorrow you have one. That would be an easy task. I also want to do that. But responsibility, prioritization on alerts triggered, they need to know what they are protecting, right? If they don't know what they are protecting, they will simply do the alerts based on queue coming in. You have top 3 alerts coming in, low severity. 4th one, critical. They say, I do top 1 first lah. Very easy one. This 4th one, somebody else coming into shift, they can tackle it. No. When they have prioritization of alert, meaning they know critical must be taken care of first. Especially if they know it's involving your crown jewel, your critical asset, compared to your non-critical asset. What do they need to do? Okay, detection abilities, targeted threats. They know whether these threats is actually harming their organization, meaning targeted attacks, meaning if I'm in the industry of airlines and the threats I'm receiving is from something that is always targeting oil and gas. So I'm not susceptible to that. Or there's a vulnerability on a certain product A, but I'm not using that product. So I know I'm not susceptible to that. So I can control what I put in my firewall, what to block, what to fix and such. Right? So they understand the targeted threats. They can build the capability to detect these targeted threats. Detection technique, correlation based. So this is where when we start to do investigation based on how we understand the cyber kill chain, how we understand the mitra. Yeah? So we know portion of reconnaissance, what we need to block, and if we find some malicious activity in your environment, in your endpoint, we know how to correlate in finding out when does it come into your network and what we need to fix. Time coverage, response coverage. Okay, response coverage meaning you have people always on standby. If there is anything happen, you have people to come take charge of the issue, fix things you need to fix. And your monitoring model should be correlation based lah, because your detection technique also is correlation based, right? Alright, so if you guys are already on maturity level 2, you want to grow to maturity level 3, so what do we need to do? So okay, from maturity level 3, this is where we find automation come in place. Yeah? So your team competency, they need to do simulation analysis. Simulation analysis, I put in the bracket purple teaming. Why? Because we want to stop that L1, L2, L3 escalation. Okay, so just now in the SOC challenges, I told that staffing is an issue. Right? But what if we have the capability where our analysts are able to attend end-to-end? From the incoming of the alerts, right, up to the recommendations and remediations, they are able to attend to the issue end-to-end. You will fix your staffing problem because you don't need to staff for L1, you don't need to staff for L2, you don't need to staff for L3. You have an analyst which is capable on doing end-to-end. They understand the issue. So no more communication breakdown, right? Unless you are a service provider, you're talking to client, probably client coming back to you late. That is something that we cannot control, client. But if you're doing it internally, you can get faster response because you're only doing one-to-one communications. You don't have a lot of people involved. And why purple teaming? Because when you want to have this capability to handle end-to-end, we need to have an analyst that is it has the blue team capability with the red teaming mindset. When we say red teaming mindset, meaning they know how an attack works. They know, oh, if you're talking about brute force, probably they are targeting your Active Directory and such. Or they're targeting a leak email or username, right? So they have that attack mindset. So they are able to attend end-to-end. Response capability, script-based task automation. So this is where we say automation comes in. So now you don't have your L2, L3 in your organization. So one guy is doing everything, he's going to get tired really fast. You are giving a marathon, 3-part marathon to a single person, so he needs to run, he needs to swim, he needs to cycle, everything. Iron Man lah, basically. So not everybody is Iron Man, right? So of course your analyst needs help because we want to ensure that they are not brought down by fatigue or burnout. So implement automation. So how automation works? I have slide here, I think. I'll go into that first, but I give a brief information on how automation works. So basically, you implement automation is when you put automation appliance in your organization, this appliance actually helps you to tackle all the known threats or repetitive tasks you have in your organization. So you build these playbooks where you say, okay, I've been dealing with these logs for quite some time, and it's always the same thing that I have, and I need somebody to take care of it. So automation will take care of it. So you just need to put your playbooks. Playbooks is basically a set of instructions you implement in your SOC, and they will run it for you. From the detection of the alert up to the closure of the alert, you can have your security appliance, your SOC, to do it end to end. If you are the type that you require some human interaction to confirm whether the SOC has done something correctly, can also be put. So it's called a semi-automation because you need human interaction. But this will actually help your analyst to reduce fatigues. And you see you have all those overwhelming security alerts and such. Your security operation, security orchestration and automated response, SOR, SOR, can actually help reduce all those fatigues. Detection abilities, advanced threats. Okay, so when you say advanced threat, this is where SOC 3.0 brings the value to your organization, because we are not on the defensive anymore. We are going on the offensive. We are not waiting for things to happen. We are actually finding things that is happening in your environment, right? So you have your threat hunters. Threat hunters will go into the environment, look into indication of attacks, no longer indicator of compromise. Indicator of compromise is more on signatures threat actors have used before, but indicator of compromise is more on the behavior of the threat actors in the environment. Yeah. So when they understand the behavior, they can go look into your environment, seeing whether there is any threat actors hiding, doing something malicious. Let's say you are a company that is only working 9 to 6. Suddenly at 3 a.m. in the morning, you see an account of your boss logging in and trying to log into the server, which he have never done before. So if you don't understand this behavior, you would say, oh, it's my boss, no problem, he can do whatever he want. But if you are doing your threat hunting missions, you understand indicator of attack, you know this is an anomaly. Your boss would never go into a server. He doesn't need to. He just asks, oi, you go in server, check for me. That he will do. But if you see your boss go into the server, you have to wonder why. Okay? So threat hunters actually look into your environment to see all these type of anomalies. And this type of anomalies is always recorded in your logs. So they will go into your logs, they will scour into your logs and look for it. Detection techniques. Scenario development based detection. Okay, so now scenario based is basically we create a story, say if ransomware attack our organization, where would it come from? What are we susceptible to? From where they can attack. So you create a scenario and you build a playbook around it to test your scenario. Okay, so you build use cases. Okay, you see ransomware WannaCry gonna attack SMB port, so you close your SMB port, and you look into the kill chain from the reconnaissance portion of a WannaCry attack up to the exploitation. What techniques do they always use? So you go and protect all those places that is vulnerable. Time coverage is real-time detection and response coverage. Okay, so when you have threat hunting people, you can always be ensured that they always like to, act upon things that they know is not dangerous, but they will say to you, we need to look into this. Because they don't look for indicator of attack, compromise, they look of indicator of attack, and it's always behavioral based. So the real-time detection can come from there, because you always have people looking into your environment. Hey, they have that threat hunting missions. And monitoring model is scenario driven lah. So it's use case. You create your use case, you build more use cases based on the attacks from your threat intelligence feeds or information that you got online, open source. You build your scenario with your use case. And finally, SOC maturity level 4. Okay, so here you see team competency is deep correlation and correction analysis. So what do we mean by correction analysis? So correction analysis is basically your analyst being the boss to you. Okay? You are the boss, now your analyst will become the boss and say, boss, you need to fix this because I find this is a threat to your environment, you have gap, you have vulnerability, you need to fix. You are no longer the boss when you are SOC maturity level 4. You are now just the executor of your new bosses, which is your SOC analyst. So they will tell you what needs to be fixed based on their correlation. So they don't wait for alarms anymore. They work with events mostly, because it's better to have a story than a summary. So when you say correlation, you have a story. Right? Response capability. So automated response. Okay, so you already implement some automation, maturity 3. So when you go to maturity 4, your SOC can actually help you tackle with all or most of the threats in your environment, because your analysts understand what is going on, right? So if you say, this guy always log in at 3 a.m. in the morning and it's triggering the alerts in our security appliance, all right? So we create automation preview. If this guy is actually login, please send an email to him, say, stop logging in at 3 a.m. me. Please go home and sleep. Right? So that is all in the capability of your automated response. So your analysts no longer have to deal with the low-hanging fruit threats, your low severity, your medium severity, which always comes a lot in bundles. They can always focus on the high severity, critical severity, which is more important to the organizations. Detection ability, zero-day threat. Okay, so when your maturity is already at level 4, it's understandable that your analysts or researchers are able to find zero-day threats or be prepared for zero-day threats, because they will always have time to investigate and research. Because most of the monitoring has going to be done by your automation system. So this gives a lot of time to your analysts, your security researchers to focus more on zero-day threats. Yeah? So they can research, they can go into the dark web, look into what is actually being exploited in the wild and such. Detection technique, learning and hunting based detection. So when you have threat hunting missions, they tell you what is going on. You can start to put in more detection rule in your environment. Time coverage, war room coverage. Okay. So war room coverage is basically you can congregate all your security components in a war room, and they can discuss on how to actually respond to incident or threats happening in your environment. Okay, so monitoring model is hunting model. So we have playbook and script based. So playbook and script based is on your automation, and for hunting you have your threat hunters look into your environment to learn what is actually the gaps and vulnerabilities and help build a monitoring model from there. So there's a few more slides, but I have to go quickly because I'm running out of time. So let's go for the improvement. Okay, improving under the technology pillar. Okay, so when we want to improve, we are looking to 3 pillars: technology, people, process. So the first thing we're going to look into the technology pillar. So how do we ensure that all security appliance we have is sufficient? Because if you want to explain to management, SIM, IPS address is already enough for us to monitor. Are we really protected by the correct technology? So this is one of the things you need to consider as well. Is all our bases covered, and what is the best way to gauge what do we need? Okay, so one of the technology pillars that I think you need to consider is continuous validation. Okay, you have SIEM, you have IPS, you have IDS, you have all the security appliance in place, you have your use cases, you have your monitoring team and such. Okay, when we ask, are you ready for a ransomware attack? Yes, I have all the security appliance in place. But how do you know they work? So continuous validation is something that is being talked about in cybersecurity. So one of the things that we do in continuous validation is breach and attack simulation. Okay, you can start to research breach and attack simulation. There are several products, good products you can use to conduct breach and attack simulation. So what is a breach and attack simulation? So breach and attack simulation is actually you are simulating an attack towards your own environment. So when you simulate the attack, it will test all your security appliance, all your policies, procedures, use case, your people capability to ensure that they are able to detect the attack. So if you say you run a simulation on ransomware, you have to ensure that all your security appliance register that threats in your environment. So from a breach and attack simulation, you can actually have a report that says that we run a ransomware on your environment and we found that it was not stopped by your firewall. It got past your IPS. It goes into your SIM, but your analyst did not pick it up. So from there, you understand, okay, I am lacking something here. Right? So continuous validation will actually help you to ensure that all the policies, all the appliance you have put in place can actually stop an attack when it happens. So is it necessary to have? It's not necessary to have. But if you want to have that peace of mind, it's better to have. So if you want to mature your SOC, remove those manual labels, intensive looking into the logs analysis, better have a continuous validation platform. So how will it benefit the SOC in organization around? So the value that it brings, that these reports that can come to you is actually in instant. So some people use pen testing, right? So pen testing is a very narrowed down type of validation. Okay? You put mission objective to your pen tester saying, can you hack this box or not? And then you let them loose. Okay? But what penetration tester are unable to do is they cannot test everything. Right? They prove on their own processes. So this and also pen testing takes a lot of time. Right? But continuous validation can actually help you fix your issues a bit faster. You can identify your gaps, your vulnerabilities faster than a pen tester can help you actually. Secondly, deception technology. Okay, so deception technology is actually honeypot. Yeah. You put honeypot in your environment. Okay? You put a shadow or dummy environment up front from your infrastructure, and this deception technology will actually help gather information on what are the threats targeting your environment. So from that information, you can actually build your resiliency in your organization. You can take those information, pass it down to your threat intelligence team. They process the data, give out actionable signatures, IOCs, indicator of attacks to your analysts, and you build your defenses before those things gets into your real environment. So this is the exception technology. So mostly people have used honeypot before. Technology researchers, how do they find about what is being targeted in the wild, what are people using to attack nowadays. They have this honeypot in their environment to capture all this malicious traffic, and they do research about it. Yeah, so this is something that you can also implement in your organization. Really, they are out of the box product for deception technology that you can look into. All right. So this is a security operation center metric. Okay. Why is it here? Because you can actually gauge your security operation center on what do they need to have based on the size of your organization. If you are a small, medium enterprise, some of the things would be optional to you because it does not bring value. So you want to reduce cost. So you only want to use things that actually bring benefit to the organization, right? So this is also depending on the infrastructure of your organization. You might be a small enterprise, but if you have a big IT architecture, probably you need something that can accommodate based on a large enterprise category, right? So this is the continuation, all right? I'm just gonna pause it here so you guys can snap some pictures. Right, all good. All right, so this is just a continuation of what do you need to have to accommodate your security operations center. All right, so the next pillar is actually our process pillar. Okay, like I said, the breakdown in escalation and communication always brings down your response time. Right, so your people will be blaming each other. L1 needs to blame L2, L2 blames L3, L3 blames the boss for not giving too much money to the organization to bring more security appliance, right? So everybody is blaming each other. So how do we ensure that we can get a faster response and no communication breakdown? This is where I say, have one people that is able to attend end to end, right? What do they need to understand first? First, they need to understand the portion from new attack, discovery of an attack, to the resolution. Meaning when the attack happens, it comes from where, how do they check what asset and what vulnerability is there, prioritize to your business objective. So when you say prioritize to your business objective, make sure they understand what is your crown jewel, what is your critical asset, what is your non-critical asset, and then they are able to initiate remediation action, right? So when they say initiate remediation action, meaning they are able to tell those people involved in this vulnerability, you need to fix those things, right? So from the attack alert, they correlate, they align to the business, and they remediate. So when you have a single analyst capable of doing this, you can actually have a quite small team, but very capable, right? And for the portion, you see from collection, you have asset discovery, you have the analyzed portion, the correlation and such, and respond is of course the alerting, how we actually track through a ticketing system, what are the recommendations and corrective actions needs to be taken. Right. Okay, so just now we have seen the standard SOC components. So this is actually what we want to go into. Where do we need to grow? This is what we want to do with future of SOC. So instead of having our incident response, our SME, our analysts working silo, We put them in a single department where we call it threat monitoring, detection and response. So your SME is there, your malware analyst is there, your incident responder is there. So they are working together hand in hand in doing your monitoring. And you have your threat intelligence. So threat intelligence will no longer be a support function, but it will be a core function to your security operations center. And also you have your dedicated threat hunting team. So when these three components work together, this is what they can achieve. If you see in the yellow circle, so if a threat intelligence working together with the people who are doing the monitoring, the detection and response, what are they capable in doing? They are actually capable in building your cyber resiliency. So we are no longer building the defense, we are building resiliency, because there is a saying that it's not if you are going to get attacked or not, it's when. When are you going to get attacked? So why resiliency? Because we want to ensure when that attack happens, we can survive, right? We are able to withstand with minimal to no damage, right? So you build resiliency, you don't build defenses. So resiliency is more on taking care of or healing your internal self, right? Build that antibody in your organization. And when the detection and response is actually working with your threat hunters, what do? They do proactive monitoring. So they don't wait for alert anymore. They go and search in your events. They look into your events that is coming in your SIM. They look into things that is going on in your environment, right? So it's you are on the active defense approach. You are not longer passive. You are on the proactive defense approach, right? And when threat intelligence work together with your threat hunters, they come up with threat hunting missions. So threat hunting missions are specified missions to ensure what is actually impacting your organization. If you are seeing new threats coming, Log4j, you want to know whether Log4j is actually dangerous to your operations, you assign threat hunting mission to your threat hunters, they will tell you or not, right? And lastly, improving the people pillar. So how do we evaluate the current strength that we have? How do we build the team and knowledge? What is purple teaming? And how do we avoid burnout in SOC? So I think everybody understand this. Huh? Who is not familiar with the cybersecurity color wheel? Yeah. So last time there's blue team, red team. Everybody knows blue team, red team. Now they added a few more colors inside. Right? So we have yellow, we have orange, red, purple, blue, and green. So when I say purple team, it's actually a mix of the red and the blue team. So the team purple, improve defense based on knowledge from offensive team. Like I said, you understand how the attack works, you understand cyber kill chain, Mitra, you are able to do your investigation based on indicator of attacks instead of relying on signatures. Okay, like I said, active defense approach. I need to speed through because I think we passed my time. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Hold on. Okay. So active defense. So why active defense? Okay. How to do active defense? You need to have constant communication with researchers, technology, and threat intelligence partner, because you are no longer reliant on your security appliance to tell you that you are in danger. You need to be on the attack posture. So you need to talk to people, right? Talk to people in industry, learn from them, okay? Learn from people who have experience, do some research, gain insights and recommendation on what you need to have. And also you can have your dedicated threat research team. So though your analysts are no longer being swamped by all the logs coming in because you have automation to do that. So you have your analysts to work on threat research. That is where you learn about zero trust, you learn about the current vulnerabilities, what is in the wild, what are people actually doing to improve the posture of your the organization. And also continuous improvement on your people process, right? So invest on people. When you say on cybersecurity, most of the budget goes to appliances, right? But the main weakness in the cybersecurity posture would be human. Right? You can have the best cybersecurity appliance in your organization, but if you put your technical support guy to do the monitoring, tomorrow you are going to have ransomware, right? So that's it. And also certify your analysts, build people, invest in people, not just technology, invest in people, I always stress this enough, because these are the guys that are actually doing the work. The tools are only part of the play, but the people who are actually doing the core work is your staff. So always invest. If you get them certified, give them the weapon, the knowledge for them to attend to. Okay, so this is Security Operations Center. I'm just going to blast this through because I'm out of time. So this is some of the things that we consider when we want to do orchestration. So what do we need to prioritize? We understand our business intelligence, our risk appetite, our crown jewels asset, and what we want to detect, the collection of information. How do we do the detection? Okay, so basically when we say about detection, this is actually how we want to craft our playbook lah. Meaning what type of alerts, what type of alarms that triggers that we want to have our automation taken care of. And triage, of course, when we have that alert, okay, let's say a malware alert, so what does the system needs to do with that? So probably it'll cross-check with virus total, cross-check with OSINT information, all the triaging processes that normally a human being is doing, so we can actually instruct a SOC appliance to do it as well. And of course, when we have all this information gathered, what response does we want this automation do? So either it needs to add this signature into your firewall, your IPS, IDS, or it needs to send out an email to the client saying that you are susceptible to this type of vulnerabilities, or it's going to trigger an alert to your analyst saying that you see a critical vulnerability based on the playbooks that you have created. So remediation and workflow will come from the response. All right, so some key takeaways. We must evolve our SOC because the threat actors in the wild, they haven't stopped evolving, right? They always go on and on to find elaborate ways to evade detection, and how to fool your security analysis and such. So we need to actually gauge the capability in the environment. What is your maturity? Where do you want to go? What is the objective? And also you need to redefine your SOC components, see? Because I've been to some of the talks here, so mostly it's all on attacks. Nobody want to talk about the defense. Everybody talks about the attack, ransomware attack, this. But how do you actually defend? How do you actually build that defensive capability? How do you build the resiliency? See? So you need to mature in that portion as well. So you need to redefine your components of SOC. So based on the 3 pillars, what you need to evolve, what is the current technology that could actually help reduce your fatigue and such based on the challenges. So you need to identify the challenges you have as well. So we need to be on the offensive. So no more blue team, defensive team. Okay, so moving forward, purple team. Take the active defense approach. Don't wait for things to happen. All right, and of course, continuous evaluation of your posture. All right. Okay, I think that is all from me. Thank you very much. I hope you guys gain some insights on the future of SOC. Thank you. Thank you for taking your time so long. Right. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you. It's very interesting, very practical. So it's very interesting, I think, ideas, but how to implement it, right? So let's say like I have L1, L2, L3 analysts, right? And all of them complaining to me that they are super busy. So how to take the first step, right? Like I understand that we can automate a lot of stuff, we can build a lot of things, right? Which eventually will free up their time so they can do important things. But how to make this first step while all of them complaining that they are super busy, so they don't have time to do a first step?
Okay, so thank you very much for your question. Okay, like I said, when you want to mature, so you have that maturity model, right? Your SOC 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. So from your questions, the things that you need to prove is actually the people. Okay, so they need to understand on how to do the investigation in a more advanced way. Because when you put them in a segregation of L1, L2, L3, you already predefine the scope that they need to do. So moving forward, you need to actually change your processes where your L1, L2, and L3 can actually work together on an analysis. All right. So you don't because if you say investigation, right? L1, L2, L3 will have different weightage of investigation, right? So if everybody is actually attending to the same investigation, they can learn too. You don't actually have to have an escalation anymore. And you don't have to wait for your L1 to actually escalate to L2 to actually solve the issue. Your L1 can actually entertain and identify the issue, right? So this is more on a people improvement process, right? So one of the things that I think people improvement is actually passion. You need to build that passion in them, because you know, if you don't have passion, they're doing this just for the money, 9 to 6. No matter what training you give, no matter what advice you give, they will not change. But one of the first steps I think you need to do is actually to ensure that your L1, L2, L3 is actually working together on a singular alert. So when L1 escalated to L2, usually L1 will let go of the incident, L2 will take over. But what if L1 is not only escalating to L2, but is actually working with L2 together on the alarm? So once you have this process already in place, sooner or later, they can do an LT task and you don't have to have the escalation anymore, and you can have your purple teaming.
Okay.
Does
Thank
that
you very
answer your
much.
question?
Yeah, very very practical. And do you have any good resources like what you were mentioning, like with SOC maturity metrics? Like, is it possible to find somewhere online?
I'm not sure, because this is actually built in house.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
interesting.
Yeah, you got some pictures, right? Yeah. Okay. You just can find me on LinkedIn if you want to have any more talks on or you want to have help on how you want to mature your SOC organizations. Anybody else? Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.